Hello and welcome back to the second installment in the Spec series. Today we will be finishing the discussion on the Melee DPS options in World of Warcraft. If you have not watched part 1, I highly recommend you check it out to understand all of the options within Azeroth. Also, I'll be posting a range DPS, tank, and heal spec guide soon as well. So like and subscribe to not miss those videos. And now let's dive into the final part of the Melee DPS specs. And kicking us off today, we have the Assassination Rogue, a rogue specialization focused on dealing precise and deadly damage through poisons and stealth. Assassination Rogues excel in sustained single target damage and have strong control over their targets. All rogues utilize combo points and can be difficult to manage but allow for a very tactical playstyle. All abilities for all rogue specializations typically either spend or create combo points. Now for the reasons why you should play. They have high burst and great damage over time effects. Assassination Rogues shine in dealing swift, jaw-dropping bursts of damage. Abilities like Garrote and Rupture stack deadly damage over time effects on your target, setting the stage for a formidable finisher. They also have good stealth and control. Embrace the shadows with abilities like Stealth and Sap, granting you unparalleled control over engagements. Ambushing enemies with Cheap Shot and Kidney Shot can swiftly turn the tide of battle in your favor. There is such a thing called Chain Stun or CC, and rogues in general excel at this. This keeps their enemy from attacking. Reasons why you shouldn't play. They are very squishy. While you're a master of sudden strikes, you're not invulnerable. They utilize leather armor, and since no melee classes utilize cloth, leather-wearing specs are considered some of the softest. Assassination Rogue's lighter armor can leave you vulnerable to counterattacks if not positioned strategically, or using stun/CCs effectively. They also have the positive of the single target, but also the weakness of single target focus. The specialization in single target damage might pose challenges in encounters where dealing with multiple foes is essential. They did recently get a nice AoE talent choice of Arterial Precision and Indiscriminate Carnage, but historically this spec has been suited for single targets. If you enjoy jumping out of the shadows and filling your enemies up with poisons and bleed effects, this spec is for you. And then next we have the brother of the Assassination Rogue, the Subtlety Rogue. Another rogue specialization that specializes in shadowy tactics and surprise attacks. Subtlety Rogues are masters of evasion, control, and precise strikes from the shadows. Now for the reasons why you should play. For the stealth and control. Just like previously mentioned, all rogues have great stealth and control, but a lot of subtlety talents and overall playstyle involves jumping in and out of the shadows with constant stuns. Shadow Strike and Eviscerate allow for some damage quickly and suddenly and are their classic abilities. They also have immediate damage. Mastering the powerful opener involving Symbols of Death and Shadow Dance promise immense satisfaction. You can expect to come out of the gates doing immediate damage to your enemy, and you do not need to wait long for a big combo. Now for the reasons why you shouldn't play. There is a steep learning curve to the Subtlety Rogue. Their sophisticated gameplay might overwhelm those new to the class, necessitating a dedicated learning phase. The difficulty can also come from what to do after the main opener. After that, your damage will go down and your weaknesses might surface. And they're pretty fragile, just like the Assassination Rogue. Positioning is key, as your delicate frame can be swiftly overwhelmed by enemy forces. This spec is generally considered the weakest out of the rogue specs, a bit of a glass cannon style spec. And now for the verdict. Subtlety Rogues focus more on shadow damage and less on bleed/poisons like the Assassination spec. If you enjoy setting yourself up for a big pop right out of the shadows, this is the spec for you. And we have the last of the rogue specs, the Outlaw Rogue. A rogue specialization that embraces a swashbuckling and unpredictable combat style. Outlaw Rogues use pistols, swords, and random effects to keep enemies guessing and adapt to various situations. Now for the reasons why you should play. For the Roll the Bones mechanic. The Roll the Bones ability introduces an element of randomness to the Outlaw Rogue's gameplay, allowing them to roll dice for various buffs. This can add excitement and variability to their rotation. They also have good burst damage. Much like the other rogue specs, we can find a powerful burst here as well. Sees opportunities for intense burst damage with Between the Eyes and Blade Flurry. Now for the reasons why you shouldn't play. Random number generating dependency. While the Roll the Bones mechanic can be exciting, it also introduces a significant element of randomness into the rotation. This randomness can sometimes lead to situations where the buffs obtained from Roll the Bones are not optimal. They also have a single target weakness. While Outlaw Rogues can perform well in AoE situations, their single target damage output might be comparatively lower in certain scenarios. If you have ever wanted to roleplay a pirate, this is about as close as you can get in World of Warcraft. Overall, it's a fun and different spec if you want something fresh. A quick note now that we have finished the rogue specs. They can all pickpocket, which is pretty cool from a lore perspective, and there are even some quests out there for it. Now throwing some magic into the mix, we have the Enhancement Shaman, an elemental warrior who harnesses the power of the elements to enhance their physical attacks. Enhancement Shamans combine weapon strikes with bursts of elemental magic, providing a dynamic and fun playstyle. Reasons why you should play. For the hybrid playstyle, Enhancement Shamans have a unique playstyle that combines melee attacks with some spellcasting, allowing for versatility in combat. This hybrid nature can make the class engaging and adaptable. They also have totems. Shamans have access to a variety of totems that provide buffs and utility for themselves and their group. This support aspect can be beneficial in group content, enhancing the overall performance of the team. And now for the reasons why you shouldn't play. The limited talent flexibility. All specs on this list have a meta talent build for any given situation, like PvP, mythics, and raiding. But Enhancement Shamans have a build that you really need to stick with to be competitive. This can lead to a more cookie-cutter spec versus some specs that reward trying new things. Also, if you mess up the rotation, it can be costly. While Enhancement Shamans have great single target and AoE damage, they do require a tight rotation that, if played incorrectly, can prove costly. And now for the verdict. Utilizing totems and nature are the main characteristics of this spec. So if you want to master the elements, imbue your weapons with aforementioned elements, and bring them all down on your enemies, this is for you. I know we had previously talked about combo points, but our next spec, the Feral Druid, also utilizes combo points. A Druid specialization that embraces their primal nature, allowing them to shift into a powerful cat form for melee combat. Feral Druids rely on agility and fast-paced attacks to shred their enemies over time. Reasons why you should play. For the fast-paced gameplay. Feral Druids embrace a swift, combo-driven playstyle, punctuated by abilities like Shred and Rake. Maintaining Savage Roar adds an element of urgency to every encounter. They are also able to switch between their cat form and bear form in case they need some extra damage reduction. Doing so can also lead to a fast pace. They also have great mobility. Feral Druids possess great mobility with abilities like Dash, Stampeding Roar, and the inherent movement speed bonus in cat form. This makes them agile and effective at maneuvering in various encounters. On another note, they have Travel Form that gives you a speed increase while swimming, running, and flying. Of course, all Druid specs have this. And now for the reasons why you shouldn't play. They have a steep learning curve. Feral Druids' demanding rotation and resource management may prove overwhelming for newcomers. If you look up a guide on the rotation, you might find many different abilities in that rotation. I feel like in PvE you might be able to get your rotation down, but in PvP this can be a very difficult thing with situations constantly changing and the need for well-timed CCs. They also have some ramp up time. Feral Druids may take some time to ramp up their damage due to the need to apply DOT, damage over time, effects, and build combo points. In short encounters or situations where enemies die quickly, they might not have the chance to reach their full damage potential. And now for the verdict. Known for an adorable dance, but also their ferocity, this spec is a great choice if you want something a tad hardier than the rogue and you prefer to spend most of your time squaring up with your opponents instead of bouncing in and out of the shadows. And now for the last melee spec in World of Warcraft, the Windwalker Monk. A monk specialization that harnesses the power of chi and martial arts techniques. Windwalker monks are agile melee fighters with a focus on maintaining a balance between their resources and positioning to perform devastating combos. Reasons why you should play. Offensive and defensive abilities. Windwalker monks have a mix of offensive and defensive tools, including crowd control abilities like leg sweep and self-healing through expel harm and soothing mist, allowing them to sustain themselves in battles. They also have great mobility, the best mobility in the game. Windwalker monks are highly mobile with abilities like roll and flying serpent kick that enables them to quickly reposition, engage enemies, or escape from danger. This mobility can be especially advantageous in dynamic boss fights or PvP scenarios. You can easily cover a full PvP arena with a serpent kick or in a few rolls. And for the reasons why you shouldn't play. They have a lack of immunity abilities. Monks inherently have a great ability to get out of situations with their high mobility, but they do not have any major bubbles or defensive cooldowns to utilize for tough situations. This can lead to some unavoidable damage, killing off the player. They also have some positional requirements. Some of the Windwalker Monk's abilities, such as Fists of Fury, require the player to be in a specific position relative to the target. Kind of like the Warrior's Blade Storm I mentioned in the last video. This can lead to situations where positioning is crucial for maximizing damage. The verdict is monks are honestly pretty cool and underutilized in World of Warcraft. This spec is very fun and has martial arts themed abilities. So if you are looking for a fast-moving spec that uses its fists to find resolutions, then this is for you. And there we have it. Part 2 of the Melee DPS spec is now complete. I will be diving into the range DPS specs in another video soon. How has your experience been with Melee in World of Warcraft? Do you enjoy it more than ranged? Did you find a spec here that you want to try out? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, remember to choose which spec is most fun to you regardless of pros or cons or the ever-changing meta. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this and want a notification when the next spec video releases. Thanks for watching.